안녕하세요. 4차 산업혁명 기획 7주 3차시 강의를 시작하겠습니다. 교재는 챕터 9 첨단 소재이고 내용은 영감, 협업, 자본 투자입니다. 첨단 소재의 발견, 생산, 통합을 위해 다양한 분야의 전문가들은 산업, 학계, 정부의 도움과 지원을 필요로 합니다. 또한 국제협력은 신소재 개발 어젠다를 추진하는 데 매우 중요합니다. 다행히도 소재 게놈 이니셔티브와 같은 소재 개발 분야의 국제적인 연구기관과 다국적 연합체 등 신소재 개발에 대한 국제협력 사례는 풍부합니다. 관련 동영상을 보시겠습니다.
Materials, the basic building blocks that make up so much of what we depend on every day. Advanced materials will fuel emerging industries, and they're key to addressing some of society's greatest challenges.
Everything from eradicating extreme poverty to improving human health and welfare across the globe to combating climate change by way of clean energy. These are all challenges where advanced materials will most certainly play a role.
The problem is time.
Right now, after you've discovered a material, it takes 20 years to get that new material post-discovery to market.
We can do it faster. We're launching what we call the Materials Genome Initiative.
The mantra of the Materials Genome Initiative is twice as fast and half the cost. We believe that manufacturing is a gateway for further economic growth and the improvement of our middle class. And we want to focus heavily on not what manufacturing used to look like, but what manufacturing will look like. The Materials Genome Initiative was designed to put us at the frontier of this intersection between materials and manufacturing.
How can we more quickly understand and manipulate materials?
How do we innovate faster? How do we make sure we have the right tools? How do we make sure that we are provisioning the right skills to our labor force to use those tools? This is what the Materials Genome is about.
Today, there are gaps in our infrastructure.
That's everything from discovery to manufacturing. And the Materials Genome Initiative has been designed to bring those pieces together. In our first 3 years, we have deployed resources on the order of hundreds of millions of dollars. That's across 5 federal agencies. These resources have gone to hundreds of different universities and companies alike. This year, as we celebrate the 3rd year anniversary of this initiative, we are launching a $150 million expansion to deliver new domestic capabilities in advanced materials. This is going to provide a strong foundation for continued U.S. leadership.
The initiative is also inspiring a cultural shift.
We've created this Materials Genome Initiative to encourage and bring entities that weren't talking as much before to begin talking, sharing resources, and building true public-private partnership collaborations. And it's quite exciting to see companies and universities and professional societies and national labs all come to the table wanting to participate. Companies coming to us and saying, what can we do to help? And as a result, what you're seeing is a materials genome community form. And this is really going to be the community that drives the paradigm shift for how we do discovery through deployment of advanced materials from here on out.
The pace at which we innovate new technologies, new goods, and solve society's challenges is only getting faster.
We need materials, everything from raw material feedstock to a finished product that uses a material, to happen along that same time scale. Through the Materials Genome Initiative, researchers are accelerating discoveries of new materials and working with our manufacturing sector to figure out how to bring those materials to market faster.
It's all sparking a new era in materials innovation, setting a new pace and bearing fruit.
We've seen success, we're scaling that success, and we're looking ahead to how we can use this initiative to bring the stakeholders together that we need to address society's grand challenges, from discovery through development, through manufacturing, and beyond. New advanced materials are a central part of America's manufacturing enterprise. Through them, we create innovation, jobs, and the products of the future.
신소재 개발에 도입을 가속화하기 위해 화학산업은 이미 다른 혁신 모델로부터 단서를 얻고 있습니다. 한 예로 소프트웨어 산업에서는 대기업과 벤처캐피털, 기술력을 갖춘 스타트업으로 이루어진 생태계가 발전과 성장이라는 선순환 구조를 촉진시켰습니다. 신소재 산업의 스타트업은 그다지 역동적이지 않지만 적절한 인프라와 인센티브를 제공하는 인큐베이터가 등장하면 모든 것이 바뀔 수 있습니다. 이 기술 분야의 장기적인 특성을 알고 있는 투자자라면 이러한 잠재력을 인식해야 합니다. 적절한 지원만 이루어진다면 젊은 스타트업들은 적절한 상호작용의 문화와 메커니즘을 준수하면서 다국적 컨소시엄과 공존할 수 있습니다. 이러한 발전의 샌드박스는 서로에게 도움이 됨과 동시에 파괴적 혁신의 결과로 이어져 새로운 기술과 산업의 기반이 되는 소재를 만들어낼 수 있습니다. 장거리 우주여행과 핵융합 기술이 보편화되는 먼 미래에는 높은 수준의 방사능에도 저항력을 가지는 완전히 새로운 기능을 갖춘 소재가 이런 기술 발전을 도울 것입니다. 예를 들어 우주 식민지에서 원자재로 제조 생산을 하려면 오늘날 3D 프린터만큼 혁신적으로 소형화된 모듈식 공장이 개발되고 상용화되어야 합니다. 4차 산업혁명이 전개됨에 따라 신소재 개발의 어려움을 해결할 수 있는 솔루션을 계속해서 개발해야 합니다. 이런 솔루션은 장기적인 관점에서 창의성과 위험 완화에 우선순위를 두는 리더들과 개개인들 간의 협업을 통해 개발될 것입니다. 2000년대 초반 나노기술은 나노입자, 나노오염물질, 그리고 악명 높은 그레이구의 잠재적 위협을 중심으로 많은 관심을 받았습니다. 관련 동영상을 보시겠습니다.
Agencies monitoring air near highways may be missing the most damaging type of pollution. UCLA researchers say the tiniest particles, which aren't currently measured, may be the worst ones for our health.
All types of air pollution is not equal in their danger.
Andre Nell, chief of nanomedicine at UCLA, collected air from this highway in Los Angeles and studied the effects of different sized pollution particles on mice. His team found that so-called ultrafine particles, hundreds of times smaller than a grain of sand, increase the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Nell says they do that by sticking in the lungs and releasing chemicals, which then damage blood vessels and cause artery clogging plaques to form. Smaller particles cause the worst plaques.
The smaller particles are the particles that are present in the highest number. They penetrate deeper into the lung. They are retained with a higher degree of efficiency than larger size particles.
They wrote in the journal Circulation Research that the smaller the particle, the more toxic chemicals it carries. The worst exposures are right near highways, but the Environmental Protection Agency isn't yet able to regulate ultrafine particles.
Because of the size of these particles, it is not easy to capture them and to quantify them. And at the moment, the technology is still not there.
In the meantime, efforts to reduce emissions may be missing what could turn out to be the most dangerous part of air pollution, the small stuff.
나노기술과 이해관계자들의 우려는 국제위협 거버넌스위원회의 화장품과 식품산업에 대한 정책 브리핑 같은 국제적인 정책 제안으로 이어졌습니다. 하지만 현재 나노봇과 나노센서에 의한 사생활 침해, 폭발물과 화학무기를 만드는 데 사용되는 나노 소재의 안전성 문제 등을 포함한 새로운 위협에 대한 광범위한 논의가 필요합니다. 공학적으로 조직된 소재로 만든 다른 제품들이 인간의 건강과 환경에 끼치는 불가역적 피해와 이로 인해 발생할 우려에 관심을 기울여야 합니다. 첨단 소재와 나노기술은 다양한 산업 분야에 적용되기 때문에 천편일률적인 정책 프레임워크를 만들기가 어렵습니다. 첨단 소재에 대한 각 산업의 의존성을 고려할 때 관련 이슈를 해결하는 것 외에는 다른 대안이 없습니다. 위험을 관리하고 소재 개발의 혁신을 촉진하기 위해서 이해관계자들은 함께 아래 사항을 고려해야 합니다. 기술의 응용과 인센티브 구조 및 행동 변화로 해결될 수 있는 문제들에 대한 합의 부족을 둘 수 있습니다. 국가마다 발전 단계가 상이하기 때문에 경제 발전을 위해서 감내할 수 있는 리스크의 수준이 다릅니다. 따라서 국제사회 수준에서 우선순위를 조정하는 것이 매우 중요합니다. 이해관계자들은 글로벌 커뮤니케이션 채널과 글로벌 거버넌스를 함께 확립해야 합니다. 신소재와 나노기술이 생태계와 인간에게 끼치는 영향에 대한 지식 부족은 표준화된 정책 개발을 저해합니다. 인간의 건강과 안전, 환경을 우선순위로 두는 조사, 장기적인 연구, 제도적 원칙은 나노기술들을 잘못 사용한 결과에 대한 두려움을 완화시키는 데 도움이 됩니다. 지식재산권은 첨단 소재 산업에 대한 이해를 돕는 정보를 공유하는 데 장애가 될 수 있습니다. 성과에 대해 정확한 정보가 널리 공유되지 않으면 효율적인 정책을 개발하기가 어렵습니다. 정보 공유를 방해하는 법적 규제를 완화하면 혁신의 혜택은 더욱 늘어날 것입니다. 첨단 소재 및 나노기술의 생산 규모 확대에 대한 경제적 타당성이 문제가 됨에 따라 환경, 건강 관련 외부 효과가 국가 관계에 다방면으로 영향을 미칠 가능성이 높습니다. 이러한 혁신기술 응용을 관리하기 위해서는 상호 협력적인 글로벌 리더십이 필요합니다. 다음은 미래에 주목받는 소재 기술을 소개합니다. 첫 번째는 그래핀입니다. 동영상을 보시겠습니다.
Graphene is a two-dimensional form of carbon, just one atom thick, with a hexagonal structure. But where are the mind-blowing technologies we were promised? The ultralight aircraft or folding smartphones? There's been a lot of hype and not a lot of end product. Until now. In Northern England's Lake District, fell running enthusiasts are testing the latest range of shoes from Innovate. The shoe's large protruding grip is designed for running over muddy hills. And the company claims mixing the rubber soles with graphene makes them 50% stronger and 50% more elastic.
The sports industry has been known for coming up with some gimmicks over a period of time, but graphene is really meaningful. And how we know that, we're working with a university. So that university stamps on the product and says, right, this really does perform and deliver the 50% improved durability.
The university is Manchester. It's here that graphene was first isolated. The city is already home to the National Graphene Institute, and in December it'll be joined by the £60 million Graphene Engineering Innovation Centre, or GEEC. It's where companies will partner with academics to test graphene before taking products to market. This vast cavernous space at the University of Manchester looks much like a factory, and it's where businesses will come in a few weeks' time to take graphene and put it into products that could transform our everyday lives. It's part of Manchester's bid to remain at the forefront of the graphene industry worldwide.
On the university side, there's about 14,000 students studying in the field already. 3 of the companies that have formed part of the partnerships with the GEEC have brought new jobs in. We're seeing that. Seeing new collaborations. So of course our Chinese friends, friends across the UK, and collaborations across the markets that this will become a supply chain to automotive and aerospace industries around the northwest.
But Britain has a poor record at turning its ideas into products, and China is determined to win the race to commercialise graphene. Analysts say that along with Taiwan, it produces 3/4 of world supply. Global sales now of $40 million should hit $300 million a year by 2027. China also holds half of graphene patents. David Banks is chairman of one of the companies working with the GEEC.
Historically, we've either failed to do it or it's taken an incredible long time. Normally 25 years when a new material is discovered. We have got to make that happen quicker. The UK, through the universities, is still at the forefront. Significant amounts of money have been invested by China, also through Manchester, but at home they're spending billions of dollars a year in this area, which we obviously can't compete with.
So far, graphene has been limited to improving existing materials, such as the way Innovate mixes it with rubber to improve shoe soles. So when will we see applications that change the world?
Graphene as a new material has still got some challenges, but what you're seeing with graphene is graphene as an additive, if you like. So adding graphene to a rubber, graphene to a resin, graphene as a coating, but I think the excitement is still to come. And you've got this spiral development, which is probably more attractive to industry, that today they can get a small benefit, maybe in the 2 to 5 year window they can get a significant benefit, and maybe the 5 to 10 they can get more of that disruptive type of benefit.
The excitement around graphene hasn't gone away, but it has cooled as engineers struggle to produce it in a form that can be easily worked. And it might be some time till we see it used in truly disruptive applications. Manchester may have a lead, but it's in a global race to bring those products to market.
다음은 일렉트로닉 텍스타일과 같은 웨어러블 테크놀로지입니다. 동영상을 보시겠습니다.
A new wave of innovation is fueling a radical change in fashion. Wearable technology, data, automation and lab-grown materials will have a major impact on what people will be wearing in the future.
We are just seeing a pace of change which is frightening, but it's also incredibly exciting for the future of fashion.
Since the birth of sewing and weaving, technology has always led developments in fashion. The Industrial Revolution mechanized manufacturing, enabling mass production. In the 1960s, synthetic materials like polyester took off, creating new possibilities for fashion. Now, the convergence of new technologies is opening up previously unimaginable possibilities. Self-styled fashion scientist Dr. Amanda Parks is in the vanguard of the industry's latest reinvention. She heads up innovation at FT Labs, a venture capital firm that invests primarily in disruptive fashion tech startups.
The future of fashion is a mixture of combining new material technologies with all new forms of business models.
Among these startups, the race is on to find the next generation of renewable materials that can be grown in a lab.
So one example of this is Bolt Threads, which creates lab-grown spider silk.
Traditional silk is produced from insect larvae that form cocoons, most commonly silkworms. But rather than relying on these insects, Bolt Threads is creating silk in test tubes.
So they've taken the DNA out of a spider, just the part of the DNA that creates silk, and transform that into a microorganism, into a yeast. And you can think of it like brewing beer. So as they feed the yeast, as it brews, it creates silk protein.
Biofabricated materials remove the need for animals and insects, and they are a more sustainable and efficient way of producing raw materials.
You're able to speed up this process, put it into a controlled environment in a laboratory, and have a lot more control over what you're growing and how.
Other companies are creating leather alternatives. Rather than using animals, scientists are creating biofabricated materials from pineapple leaves and even mushrooms.
Another example is a mycelium-based leather. So the root structure of strains of mushrooms can be grown synthetically in a lab, but they're all natural fibers. When you think about the convergence of what technology can do with this in terms of the future development of materiality. And so we really have the opportunity to make huge global change by changing the means of production of materials.
The convergence of fashion and technology also provides opportunities to transform not just clothes, but the people wearing them. Myant is a company that's pioneering the creation of clothing that can monitor your every move.
We call it textile computing. Some other people call it smart fabric. Essentially, it's an interactive fabric that could sense data from you.
So-called smart fabrics are being touted as the next frontier of wearable technology. Yarns are paired with electronic sensors so that essential data can be captured from the human body.
This is a men's boxer. You can see the sensors embedded on the band and on the body. Within seconds, it will start transmitting your ECG, temperature, your movement, your respiration.
To create clothing that can monitor the wearer's health and fitness, Myant has brought together teams of people that have not traditionally worked under the same roof.
We have the advanced research, engineers and scientists at nanoscale technology, electrical engineers, mechatronic engineers, software, AI. We wanted them to interface and to interact with fashion designers, with pattern makers.
Smart fabrics could radically change consumers' relationships with the clothes they wear. But as technology increases the pace of change, how can the industry keep track of what consumers really want? Francesca Muston is the head of retail at WGSN, the world's leading fashion forecasting agency.
We are just seeing a pace of change which is frightening, but it's also incredibly exciting for the future of fashion.
The staff here use big data to analyse political, social and environmental trends in order to predict the hot new looks of tomorrow.
If we think back over the last 5 years at how the fashion industry has changed, think about the way that we shop compared to the way that we used to shop.
Technology is driving an explosion in consumer choice, as well as the bewildering array of clothing design and creation. To keep up, the industry is also turning to technology.
We are for sure in the midst of a digital revolution. AI, the idea of kind of machine learning and big data. How do we start to sort of synthesize all of these new technologies and start to make sense of it, both in terms of industry but also in terms of the consumer?
Machine learning technologies are now central to fashion forecasting, quickly spotting patterns among the ever-growing volume of data. From biotechnology to demographic shifts, predicting trends is no longer an art, it's becoming a science.
다음은 고체 중 가장 가벼운 에어로젤입니다.
This is aerogel, the world's lightest, that is least dense solid. This piece has a mass of just 1.22 grams. That is only a few times the mass of the same volume of air, which kind of makes sense because it is 99.8% air.
지금 보시는 고체는 1.22g밖에 안 되고 공기의 몇 배 무게밖에 안 됩니다. 그럴 수밖에 없는 게 99.8%가 공기입니다. 보시는 바와 같이 내부에는 빈 공간이 많아서 무게가 가볍고 열 전도율이 낮습니다. 반대쪽에서 열을 가해도 손이 뜨겁지가 않습니다. 아주 고온인 경우에도 열에 잘 견딜 수 있습니다. 가장 좋은 어플리케이션 중에 하나는 우주 항공 분야입니다. 화성 탐사 같은데 로봇 제작에 쓰일 수 있습니다. 어펜딕스입니다. 지금까지 시청하신 것으로 이번 차수 수업이 인정됩니다. 강하면서도 가벼운 소재를 소개합니다.
Graphene is thought to be the strongest of all known materials. But translating that two-dimensional strength into useful three-dimensional materials has posed quite the challenge to researchers for decades. But now, a team of MIT engineers has successfully designed a new 3D material with 5% the density of steel and 10 times the strength, making it one of the strongest, lightweight materials known. And by analyzing the material's behavior down to the level of individual atoms, they were also able to produce a mathematical framework that can accurately predict experimental results. To test their material, the researchers printed 3D models made purely of commercial plastic and subjected them to various compression tests to see how much they could handle before the structure begins to crumble. Here, we see two 3D gyroid models made from the same exact material. Their only difference is one is composed of thicker walls than the other. Once stress is applied, we almost immediately notice two very different reactions. The model composed of thinner, more flexible walls enabled it to fail gradually upon increasing deformation, while the other, with thicker, stiffer walls, is able to store much more deformation energy, which is then released in a more severe, explosion-like manner. Ultimately, their new findings show that the crucial aspect of the new 3D forms has more to do with their unusual geometrical configuration than with the material itself, which suggests that similar strong, lightweight materials could be made from a variety of materials with similar geometric features. Having the ability to tune the mechanics of a material by simply adjusting its geometry opens the door to a wide variety of practical applications, including strong, lightweight structural materials for airplanes, cars, buildings, and other large-scale applications. Because of their continuous porous geometry and large surface area, they could also have applications for filtration and energy storage.